Hello, and welcome to another video on the Life After Brady channel. Today we're going to rewind, take a look back at 2019, the Dolphins and Patriots 2 games, to get us set for the 2020 matchup between the two teams. Let's look high level first. The teams met Week 2 and Week 17, really polar opposite games. Week 2, absolute blowout as the Patriots traveled to Miami and won 43-0, and then the reverse match, Week 17, regular season finale, where the Dolphins came up to New England and won 27-24, and what turned out to be Tom Brady's final game in a regular season uniform in New England. But back to Week 2, that was the Antonio Brown game. Brown, that was his only game with the Patriots where he did score a touchdown before being released by the team after more off-the-field issues. It was also the Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen turnover game. The Dolphins had 4 turnovers, 2 of which were pick sixes. The Patriots really just dominated on defense, which allowed them to really control it. Miami was sacked 7 times and only had 184 total yards. It was really about the Patriots defense, and this is back, Week 2. Early on, they were clearly dominating. You remember the Darnold ghost game. This was the other game with it, where they were an absolute record-setting defense at this point. The offense was good enough. Michelle had 21 carries and 83 rushing yards and a touchdown. Brady had 264 yards. So really nothing special, but when the defense throws a shutout, you're obviously not going to lose. Week 17, very different. We'll get into more of the details in a second, but really it's highlighted by they lost the game, a game they needed to win, which allowed Kansas City to jump them into the to get a bye game. The Patriots were forced to play the next week against Tennessee. We obviously know the result. High level, led by Ryan Fitzpatrick and Devontae Parker, the Dolphins threw it all over the yard for 340 passing yards, Patriots had 2 turnovers, Dolphins had 0. It's kind of pretty cut and dry how the Patriots came up on the wrong side there. Next, we're going to take a look at rushing and passing, just kind of get a feel. Obviously, it'd be 2 different offenses this year. I don't know actually who's starting for the Dolphins this year. I know Ryan Fitzpatrick's mother passed away, so I'm not sure if he's getting the open day start or if it'll be Tua. Rushing, the Patriots are pretty consistent. Rushed for 124 yards the first game, 135 the second game. Passing-wise, similar yardage, but just Week 17, the narrative was in full effect that Brady didn't trust his receivers, and clearly you see the effects of it. Edelman was also banged up. Mohamed Sanu was banged up, and you saw it. They go 16 for 29 versus 20 for 28 the first week. That's the 20 for 28 is what you're looking for from Cam versus the 16 for 29s. We're going to see a lot more of what we saw last year. The Patriots were able to control the Dolphins' rushing attack. I don't know who's starting at running back this year for the Dolphins. Their offensive line is terrible. It'll be better this year, but still would be bad. So really it's about controlling the Dolphins' passing attack. The first game they did, held them 18 for 39, under 200 yards, got the 4 picks. The 4 picks isn't repeatable, but can they do something with the 200 yards versus the 320 yards? Devontae Parker was the guy who lit it up, as we'll get to in a second. But before we do that, we'll take a look at just some of the efficiency stuffs and then the turnovers. Turnover-wise, Patriots were 6 for 11 on offense, while the Dolphins were terrible, 2 for 15. Red zone-wise, Patriots were 3 for 4 versus Dolphins. When they did get there, they did not convert. And then turnovers, Patriots had 1, while the Dolphins had 4. And then, as I said, the 2 pick sixes. Week 17. Nothing pretty there. 3 for 9 for the Patriots. Dolphins were 5 for 12. Not great, but good enough. And then red zone wise, Patriots were 2 for 3. Dolphins were, I believe they were actually 3 for 4. And then turnovers, they didn't turn over at all in the finale compared to the 4 in the previous game. Lastly, we're going to look at some of the advanced statistics that we got from Pro Football Reference. 43% of the Patriots' passing plays resulted in first downs in the first game. 6 of the 7 Patriots receivers had a QB rating above 100 when they were being targeted. Josh Gordon was the only one that did not. Basically showing that, yes, Antonio Brown was good, Edelman was good, but there were no really bad results that game. Stephon Gilmore, this is really what allowed him to start off so well and get to that Defensive Player of the Year award. Had a quarterback rating when targeted of 10.4, which is just incredible. I think throwing in incompletions around 39, so 10.4 is just pretty crazy on 8 targets. Duron Harmon, who's now in Detroit, was the only defender that allowed a rating above 100. So it wasn't just Gilmore, it was the whole Patriots defense. And then Xavier Howard was the only Dolphins defender with a completion percentage below 50% when targeting, everyone else above 50%. Week 17, very different results. Patriots couldn't get a pass rush. They blitzed Fitzpatrick 21 times, only 5 pressures. He did have a higher number of kind of bad throws, but they weren't really pressuring him. It was the Devontae Parker show, though, and it was Devontae Parker in the air. This wasn't about Yak. This was, 100 air receiving yards. The depth of target was nearly 15, and 6 of his 8 receptions resulted in a first down. So just they threw it up, and he got it, mainly over Stephon Gilmore in that game. And then just, I don't even know how this is a true stat, but Julian Edelman had a negative 2.7 yards after catch receptions, meaning he actually went backwards instead of forwards when he was catching the ball pretty bad, and had a quarterback rating of 13.7 when Brady was throwing to him. Obviously, he didn't trust the other guys, and then his number one receiver is doing that. It's hard to win that way. And Stephon Gilmore, compared to his first game where he did a 10.4, I don't have his rating here, but 7 catches on 9 targets and 119 receiving yards. They just moved the ball on him, and unfortunately, that ended the Patriots' regular season, and pretty much ended their season. We'll see, though, this year what's different, but thank you for joining us to take a look back at 2019, and if you are not already, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below.